It was New Year's Eve, and the city was alive with fireworks, laughter, and endless celebrations. But inside a small, dimly lit apartment on the top floor of an old building, Arjun felt a chill he couldn't explain. The clock ticked toward midnight, yet something deep inside him whispered that tonight would be different. The countdown would never reach 0.
Arjun wasn't alone. His phone kept buzzing with messages from friends, invitations to parties he didn't want to attend. He felt trapped in a maze of his own indecision. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, and a cold breeze swept through the room. The shadows in the corners seemed to stretch and twist, as if watching him. He shivered, but tried to dismiss it as imagination. As midnight approached, Arjun noticed a strange reflection in the cracked mirror above his dresser. It wasn't just his own. Something lurked behind him. He spun around, but the room was empty. His heartbeat quickened. Something was wrong. Every sound, every creak of the building echoed like a warning he couldn't understand. Time seemed to slow. The countdown on the city's giant digital clock outside echoed faintly in his mind. 10, 9, 8. But the numbers seemed wrong, stretching longer than they should. The world outside blurred. The fireworks froze midair. He realized the new year would never arrive. Not tonight, not ever. A cold dread wrapped around him like chains. Then a whisper, soft, almost inaudible. "Don't look back." The voice seemed to come from the walls themselves. Arjun turned, heart pounding, to see the shadows merging into a figure he could not comprehend. It moved without sound, a darkness that absorbed light. Fear rooted him in place, and as the clock in his mind ticked, the countdown in the city remained frozen. Forever. Arjun's breathing became shallow. Every nerve in his body screamed to run, but he couldn't move. The shadows shifted closer, molding into shapes that his mind refused to comprehend. The clock ticked again. Or did it? The numbers outside had not changed. A creeping sense of inevitability gripped him. He was trapped in a loop where the new year would never arrive. A sudden noise, like a door creaking open upstairs, made him jump. But the building was empty. Every apartment was silent. He could hear his own heartbeat, louder than life itself, echoing off the walls. Then, from the darkness, faint whispering voices. Names, his friends' names, calling him, begging, warning, laughing. He felt their presence, yet saw no one. Desperate, Arjun ran to the window. The city outside had changed. Streets were empty, silent, frozen under a gray haze. Fireworks were suspended midair like glowing ghosts. The giant digital clock above the square flickered, glitching, but still the countdown refused to end. He screamed, but no sound escaped. The world around him was dead, yet alive in a way he could not describe. Inside the apartment, the temperature dropped sharply. His breath became visible, misting in front of his face. The shadows grew taller, denser, almost tangible. He noticed something carved faintly into the wooden floorboards. A circle, symbols he did not recognize. A chill ran down his spine. Somehow, he knew the symbols were meant for him. A warning he was too late to heed. A memory flashed. A story his grandmother once told him about a curse on New Year's Eve, where time itself could be trapped if someone dared to watch the final countdown alone. He had laughed at it as a child, but now every detail of her tale seemed real. The shadows pressed closer, whispering promises of endless nights, of a new year never to come. Arjun tried to turn away, but his feet felt rooted to the floor. The shadows pulsed like they had a heartbeat of their own. He realized the room itself seemed alive, walls bending slightly, ceiling groaning, as if breathing. A metallic smell filled the air, sharp and unnatural. He whispered to himself, "This isn't real. It can't be." But even his own voice sounded distorted and distant. A sudden flicker revealed a figure crouched in the corner. Its eyes glowed faintly, unblinking, unhuman. Arjun's instincts screamed at him to run, but fear held him in place. The figure slowly rose, and he noticed it mimicked his movements perfectly, as if it were a twisted reflection of himself. He realized then that the countdown wasn't just frozen outside, it was frozen inside him too. Time became meaningless. Every second stretched into eternity. He glanced at his wristwatch. The hands spun in impossible patterns. The digital clock on the street outside blinked erratically, never reaching zero. Panic set in. He shouted, but his words turned to whispers, swallowed by the thick darkness that now filled the room. Something had claimed this night, and perhaps him. Desperate for answers, Arjun grabbed his phone again, but the screen no longer displayed messages or apps. It showed a countdown. His name appeared above it, glowing red. Arjun, never zero. His breath caught. He threw the phone, but it landed softly on the floor, screen still alive, countdown continuing. The room seemed to pulse in sync with the ticking numbers, as if it had become the heartbeat of some unseen entity. The whispers grew louder, overlapping into a deafening chorus. Names, secrets, regrets, everything he feared whispered to him. His own reflection appeared in the window pane, smiling at him. But it wasn't his smile. It moved independently, sinister and mocking. Arjun's chest tightened. The shadows seemed to reach for him. Midnight would never come, and he knew now that he might never leave this room alive. Arjun stumbled backward, knocking over a lamp. The dim light spilled across the room, revealing scratches along the walls. Tall, deep, claw-like marks he hadn't noticed before. The shadows recoiled slightly, then stretched again, as if mocking his discovery. He realized that this apartment had a history, one he had been blind to until now. He approached the scratches, tracing them with trembling fingers. Under the dim light, faint symbols appeared etched into the wall, almost invisible. They pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. Arjun felt an unnatural energy radiating from them, pulling him closer. He wanted to look away, but something compelled him to stare. Suddenly, the apartment door slammed shut. The figure in the corner moved closer, gliding silently across the floor. Arjun backed into the wall, heart racing. The whispers became words now, clear and intentional. You cannot leave. The countdown is yours. Forever. A cold pressure pressed on his chest, making it hard to breathe. Every instinct screamed danger. Desperate, he looked around for an escape, but the apartment had changed. Hallways twisted impossibly, walls warped, and windows no longer led outside. Every exit led back to the same room. It was as if the building itself was alive, trapping him in a nightmare loop. He shouted, but his voice was absorbed into the shadows. Then he saw it, a faint red glow from the ceiling, a circle of symbols, glowing and spinning slowly, suspended above him. The shadows gathered around it, forming a vortex of darkness. Arjun understood now. The countdown was not just outside, it was inside this apartment, inside him, and he was part of a ritual he could not escape. The new year would never come, and he was its eternal witness. Arjun's mind raced. The spinning symbols above him seemed alive, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The shadows whispered louder, forming shapes that resembled people, his friends, family, strangers, trapped in silent screams. Panic surged through him. He realized that the apartment was feeding on fear, growing stronger with each heartbeat, each gasp, each trembling thought. A sudden flash of memory struck him. His grandmother's warning had included a clue. The one who watches must break the reflection. Arjun's gaze shifted to the cracked mirror above the dresser. His reflection smiled again, sinister and mocking. With trembling hands, he reached toward it, breaking the glass. The room shuddered violently, and a scream ripped through the darkness. Yet it was his own voice he heard. For a moment, silence. The shadows paused. The spinning symbols flickered. Arjun felt a strange calm, as if the world itself held its breath. Then, from the corner, the humanoid figure stepped forward, but this time it spoke, not in whispers, but in his own voice. "You cannot escape what you've seen." The apartment seemed to pulse with the words, embedding them into his mind. Arjun's mind struggled to grasp reality. Every object, every shadow, every flicker of light seemed alive, aware of him. He staggered back to the window, hoping for escape, only to see the city outside transformed. Streets glowing faint red, figures frozen mid-step, digital clocks everywhere stuck at 10 seconds to midnight. He understood now. This wasn't just the apartment. Time itself was caught in a nightmare loop, and he was at its center. Then a revelation. The symbols, the countdown, the shadows, they were all connected to him. Every fear, every regret, every sleepless night had fed this loop. He had unknowingly summoned it by watching the countdown alone. He sank to his knees, trembling, realizing that escaping the apartment or the night itself was impossible. He was now a permanent witness to a new year that would never arrive. Arjun's heart raced uncontrollably. The shadows now moved with purpose, converging toward him. Every sound, his own breathing, the flickering lights, the creaking floorboards, was amplified, echoing endlessly. He realized the apartment itself was alive, feeding on his fear, twisting reality to trap him forever. Midnight would never come. He was the countdown. He tried to scream, but no sound emerged. The spinning red symbols above him grew brighter, pulsating with his racing heartbeat. Every shadow now had a face, some familiar, some grotesque. They whispered his deepest secrets, mocking him, clawing at his sanity. Arjun realized that fear wasn't just a feeling here. It was a physical force, binding him in place. A sudden memory pierced through the terror. His grandmother had said, "Only when you face yourself can the cycle end." Arjun's eyes fell on his reflection again. This time, he didn't flinch. He met the reflection's gaze, acknowledging every fear, every regret, every unspoken word. The shadows paused, the symbols slowed, and the room seemed to hold its breath. With trembling hands, he touched the mirror, not to break it, but to accept it. The reflection mirrored his resolve, not fear. A shock wave of light filled the room, scattering shadows, dissolving the spinning symbols into nothingness. For the first time, he heard a real sound, his own voice, clear and strong, breaking the oppressive silence. He realized that confronting himself had shifted the balance. The clock outside flickered. 3, 2, 1. The countdown resumed. Fireworks exploded across the city, yet inside the apartment, silence and calm replaced terror. Arjun sank to the floor, exhausted but alive, finally free from the loop. The shadows were gone. The symbols vanished. He whispered a prayer of relief, knowing that he had survived the new year that never reached zero and had emerged stronger, forever changed. Arjun thought it was over. The shadows were gone, the symbols dissolved, and the apartment was still. Yet a nagging feeling crawled up his spine. Something had changed, not outside, not in the world he saw, but inside him. He could still feel the rhythm of the countdown lingering in his chest, faint but persistent, like a heartbeat not entirely his own. He approached the window. The city was alive again, fireworks painting the skyline with color and joy. Yet, among the revelers, he glimpsed a frozen figure, watching from a distance. It was a silhouette, vaguely human, with the same unblinking gaze he had seen in the shadows. A shiver ran through him. Had it truly left, or was it waiting, patient and eternal.
A small detail caught his eye. On the cracked floorboard, faint red marks had returned, pulsing softly as if recalling the horrors of the night. He bent closer. The symbols were gone, but their essence lingered, etched invisibly into the wood. He realized some memories, some terrors, could never truly vanish. They could only lie dormant, waiting for the next time.
Arjun sat back, breathing heavily, aware that the apartment had tested him and that he had survived. But in the silence, he sensed a subtle movement, a whisper of air that didn't belong to him. Somewhere, deep within the walls, a presence lingered. He shivered, smiling weakly, realizing that some part of the new year that never reached zero would always remain with him, a reminder of the night he faced himself.
The night ended and dawn broke over the city. Arjun rose, feeling the weight of what had happened. He stepped toward the door, each footstep solid and real. Yet, as he opened it, he glanced back one last time. For a split second, the shadows flickered and merged into a faint figure resembling him. Then it was gone. The new year had arrived, but some nights, some terrors, never truly end. Arjun stepped outside into the crisp morning air, expecting the city to be normal, alive with life. And it was. Yet a strange quiet lingered. Every passerby moved with an unnatural precision, smiles frozen, laughter slightly delayed, as if the world itself was slightly out of rhythm. He shivered, realizing that even outside, the countdown had left its mark.
He walked slowly, heart still racing, glancing at every reflection, the shop windows, puddles, glass doors. Each one seemed to flicker, showing not just his reflection, but fleeting glimpses of the shadows he had faced. He realized that the night had imprinted itself on him, leaving fragments of terror he could never completely erase.
Suddenly, he heard a faint whisper carried by the morning breeze. "Next time." He froze, scanning the streets, but no one was there. A chill ran down his spine. He knew then that the New Year countdown might return, not outside, not in the city, but inside the hearts of those who dared to watch alone, trapped by fear and curiosity. Arjun turned homeward, feeling both relief and a gnawing unease. The city appeared normal, yet something in the air had changed forever. The countdown, though completed elsewhere, had a life of its own inside him. He smiled weakly, realizing he was now a guardian of the night's secret, carrying the memory of terror and survival. As Arjun reached his door, he glanced back one final time. In the reflection of the window, the faintest shadow moved independently, watching, patient, eternal. The new year had arrived, fireworks and celebration all around. But for Arjun, and perhaps for anyone who dared, some nights would never truly end. The countdown was never over.